Today we are going to talk about diversity and classification. It is the first topic in primary 3, which means it is probably the first time you are learning science. Now let's look at the content that we are going to cover today. So these are the content that I will be covering today. Okay, so what is the studying of science? Science is the studying of the world around us. So why do we need to do that? Because in this world there are many different kind of things. Okay, a lot of different kind of things. So to better understand the world, that's why we have to study science. Now, but no matter how big the world is, we can basically put them into two main groups. The first group is living things. The second group is non-living things. Living things refers to things that are alive. Non-living things refers to things that are not alive. A simple example of living things will be us. We are alive, so we are called living things. Things that are not alive can be the chair you are sitting on right now, or the table in front of you. So these are things that are not alive. So if you look at your science book, you realize that the book is called diversity. Diversity basically refers to the many things around us in this world. Okay, so because there are so many things around us, to better organize them so that we can study them better, we put them into groups. So when scientists put things into group, it is called classification. When you put things into group, you have to put it with a reason. So for example, during PE, your teacher will group you. Sometimes they will group you based on whether you are a boy or a girl. So when you are grouped based on whether or not you are a boy or a girl, you are being grouped with a reason. So that's what we call classification. But sometimes you are being assigned a group with no reason. When you are being put in a group for no reason, no specific reason, then we do not call it classification. We can just call it grouping. So the main difference between classification and grouping is classification, you put things in a group with a reason. So what are the reasons? It is usually based on their similarities. So just now as I was telling you, if you are a boy, you'll be in one group. If you are a girl, you'll be in another group. That's a simple example. Another example in science is like what we have mentioned earlier. You group things based on whether they are alive or not. So you can put things that are alive in one group and things that are not alive in another group. Okay? Now, when you talk about a quality of something that is alive, you call it characteristic. For example, if you say that your friend is tall, that is his characteristic. Okay? When you say maybe a bread is very long, a loaf of French loaf is very long, a bread is very long, you call it properties because they are not alive. So characteristic we refer to things that are alive. Properties we use it on things that are not alive. When you are in term 1, usually your teacher will test you classification based on these 3 ways, namely the shapes, the size, or the color. But of course, when you move on to term 2 or end of year, when you are being tested for classification, it will be much more difficult. But for a start, you will usually be tested based on these 3 methods. Okay, let's do a few examples of classification. The first way is sometimes we'll be asked to classify things based on their sizes. So as you can see, there are some objects that is some shapes that it's bigger in size, so you put them in one group. Whereas the one that's smaller in size, put them on another group. So this is a simple example which you should have no difficulty doing. Now, the other way is putting things into groups based on their shapes. So you can group them based on their shapes. So when you're primary 1, you will probably learn how to group things based on their shape. You should have learned what is the different shapes. So circles, you can put them under one shape. Triangles, you can put them under the other shape. And rectangle, you can put them under rectangle. Okay, now let's group things based on their colors. Now because in school you are doing your exam papers on paper itself, so usually you only be tested based on black, gray and white, since the printing is done in black, gray and white. Okay, so let's put them based on their color. So the white one will fall under the white group, the gray one will fall under the gray group, and then the black one will fall under the black group. Okay, so sometimes you realize it may not be the same. So some groups may have more. For example, the white group has 3, whereas the gray and the black group has 2 each. So it doesn't have to be the same number. Okay, sometimes there will be groupings classification done for you already, and your job is to write down what are they grouped based on. So you can see that the group on the left side, they have different shapes. Okay, and both sides is black, right? So that cannot be the reason why they are grouped. They cannot be based on color or shapes, because if it's based on shape, all the same shape should be in one group. If it's based on color, one group should be different color from the other. Okay, so it must be the last option, which is size. So the group on the left is the bigger size, so you have to write down big, whereas the group on the right is small. Okay, so what have we learned today? Okay, we have learned that diversity refers to many different kind of things on earth. Classification is to put things into groups with a reason. Similarity refers to things that are same. Differences is the opposite of similarity, so it's things that are not the same. Living things are things that are alive. Non-living things are things that are not alive. Characteristic is the quality of living things, whereas property is the quality of non-living things. That's all for today.